In 2016, Donald Trump enjoyed the overwhelming support of America's farmers. Almost 70% of them backed the Republican and his America First agenda. But 4 years and a trade war with China later, cracks are emerging in the president's rural base. Our chief international correspondent Ben Lewis is in Ohio, a state President Trump won by an 8-point margin back in 2016, to meet two farmers with very different views on the 2020 race.
The fertile land of America's Midwest is considered God's country by those who live on it. Ohio is home to 75,000 farms, and agriculture is responsible for 1 in 8 jobs, a provider of livelihoods and a way of life. Traditionally, the majority of farmers here vote Republican. Chris Gibbs once chaired the local party. And like most of his neighbours, he voted for Donald Trump in 2016. He won't this time.
I've got a pond out here. Donald Trump could walk across that damn pond and I would not vote for him.
The president's trade war with China left Chris disillusioned. Tariffs levied by both countries led to the loss of billions of dollars in American agricultural exports.
Donald Trump says we're going to go it alone. We're going to do America first. Well, America first sounds good from a nationalistic standpoint, but it manifested itself as America alone.
To compensate for the trade war, Trump has increased aid payments to farmers to the highest level in 20 years.
So how much money are we talking about? Well, according to projections, more than a third of the average American farmer's income in 2020 will come from government grants and subsidies. Now, the administration's supporters say it's necessary because of the pandemic, but critics say it's vote buying.
He's got farmers in a financial snare. They can't get out of this now because until these markets come back in full force, farmers are dependent on President Trump extracting dollars out of the Treasury and giving it directly to farmers.
Trump backers in the Midwest aren't shy about showing their support for the president. Kurt's family has lived here for generations. This farmer from rural Ohio thinks highly of the New York businessman running the country.
He has not gave up. We see that. We're fighters out here in farming. Every day's not perfect on a farm. There's rainy days, you're stuck in the mud, or you got a piece of equipment broke, you name it. It's not perfect out here in this world at all. So when I say that Trumps don't have a perfect world, he's not perfect either. He talks to us people like we are.
He sees the trade wars as short-term pain for long-term gain.
Most farmers I talk to around here knows around his area, we knew the problem needs to be fixed, and we need fair trade is what we need. Everything else in business will fall in its place if we have fair trade.
The aid payments bother Kurt. Another $19 billion of relief was announced last month. Many on the left point out it's a form of socialism, the type Trump normally rails against.
We don't want the aid. We want fair trade is what we really want out of the whole big picture, but the aid just kept us in the black instead of in the red.
It's not all about making money. Farming and faith go hand in hand here.
Biden is not pro-life, so in this community right here, life is very, very important.
Chris is still the odd one out in this part of Ohio. He has, to a degree, found himself ostracised from old friends, but he's not deterred. Working with a national campaign group trying to flip red states blue.
In 15 or 18 years, my grandkids are going to come to me and they're going to say, Grandpa, we're studying about this period, whatever we're going to call it. Okay, we're studying about that. What were you doing then? And I'm going to say, I stood up. I put country over party. And I stood up and said, enough is enough, and I spoke out.
Farmers are used to hard work. Convincing them to back a Democrat, that's a tougher job than most. In Sydney, Ohio, Ben Lewis, SBS World News.